We're about to start. Journey Intelligence is about to get smarter today. And we're going to talk about launching Ask TheyDo and the analyst agent. But before we do that, welcome everyone. For those dropping in who have already been with us before, you'll know your way around in the tooling. For those who haven't, you can find the chat. It's open to everyone. And I would love to know, where are you watching this from? Where in the world are you? I'm in Amsterdam right now. And coincidentally, my co-host today, Memie, is as well. She's our head of design, and I'm very excited to have her here.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to have you. We're beyond excited to share what the team has been up to and set the stage for what's coming this year.
Very good. And seeing everyone drop in. Samantha from London, Peter from Rotterdam. Hello, close by. I hope you're not a Feyenoord fan, as most people here are from Ajax, but we'll see how that goes for the football fans out there. Helsinki, very nice to meet you. Stuttgart, England. Michigan, hello. Hello there. For those who've been paying attention to the original invite, we are missing a person. And that's unfortunate. Charles, our CTO, one of my co-founders, fell ill. He has a very nasty stomach bug, so he had to cancel last minute. So you'll have to do with us, two designers talking about the capabilities that we are also presenting in a technical way, because that's important to you. But I'm sure we can cover the basics at least today, and I'm sure he will join us for the next one. Amy, nice to see you from Colorado. Another person from Rotterdam, Vivian, nice to see you. People from Toronto, Canada, all over the world. Memie, do you feel like we should be getting started?
Yeah, let's dive in.
All right. Cool. I will share my screen so then we can actually start to move along with today, because we got a great agenda and obviously you are here for the launch. So let's not wait too long with that. What we're going to do today, we'll actually move into the agenda. So we're going to introduce Ask TheyDo and agents, but also set the stage for the context that we are all operating in, right? Many of you are doing journey management and what is actually happening in our world. We're going to see it in action. Memie is going to take us through all of that. We'll do a little bit of how it works, how the agents work, what is happening in the background, and how we are building them, because that's important for understanding what we're building next and what that means for you. And there will be ample time, as always, for a live Q&A. So as you have all found the chat, which is great, you can use that to drop in any question as we go. Some we might be able to tackle live, and others will tackle near the end. So it's going to be a nice hour together. Yeah, and I'm excited to dig in. So let's do it, because I think the context is important and the introduction of what we're going to see today is as well. So let me set the stage for us and then hand it over to Memie to start seeing things in action. So what we're going to do today is look at like the evolution as what we call as experience intelligence, right? To have your teams, to have the business part of your company to really understand what's going on in the customer experience so they can basically make better decisions. And where we are coming from is obviously journeys used to be maps hanging on the walls, and we had static representations of the customer experience, which was great. And over the last few years, we all, including TheyDo, have worked hard to make journey management a business process, to have journey data, to have dynamic and collaborative interfaces, to basically start to use journeys as an organizing principle for teams. Now, that is starting to materialize in many of the companies that we all work at, we are working with. And where this actually is going is the next evolution. Because when you think about journeys being context, and your journey frameworks, your data about the customer experience, about the business that makes up for that part of the experience, what we're actually seeing is that journeys are more like a data model, and they're very visual, and they have different types, qualitative, quantitative, and work data in them. So they are there to really generate decision data across large, complex organizations.
As Jochem was saying, what we're evolving into is to support experience intelligence within 𝗴𝗏𝗽. Journeys are becoming more and more like a data model when you bring in all of your qualitative and quantitative data to be able to map those in your phases and steps. And with that, we're able to then parse through all of that rich journey framework data to then help you make decisions across your enterprise. As we look at what the next frontier is for 𝗴𝗏𝗽 and to build into experience intelligence, we're really excited to share that we've launched Ask TheyDo and our very first agent, which is focused on analysis. So what Ask TheyDo is capable of is to be able to look at not only the current journey you're on, but all of the nested journeys as well as the journeys above it to say, how do we actually go about answering questions like analyzing how we improve claims handling? And it is today capable of looking at everything from the insights throughout your journey framework, how those map to opportunities to help you understand how you're acting on those insights, what you're shipping product or service-wise to be able to solve those opportunities, and measuring it back to the metrics and business goals that your organization has set at the quarterly level, annual level. And what is really exciting about Ask TheyDo is that not only do journey owners and your collaborators who are actively keeping journeys enriched and relevant, we're now creating a space where other collaborators can also benefit from the journey data that you're creating. So this becomes an entry point for people who may not have familiarity with how 𝗴𝗏𝗽 works or familiarity with how the journey is designed. They're able to ask questions, to analyze and explore that journey data, to be able to answer the questions that they have to move their work forward. And beyond that, Ask TheyDo is also completely trained on all of our journey management help center content as well as our best practices. So it not only helps you to explore the data that you've mapped within your journeys, but also help you improve the ways that they're built. It suggests recommendations to how your journeys are structured, suggests where you maybe have gaps in your understanding or ways to better organize your insights across different steps or breaking it down into different lanes so that you can have more clarity on what the insights are saying. Oh, Jochem, I see that you're back. Maybe I can hand it back to you.
Sure, but I'll do one thing before we go into your demo. So we should be clear about the problems that we're actually trying to solve here. This is not 𝗴𝗏𝗽 saying, oh, we have agents for everything. We're very intentional about what we're doing. Today, we're launching Ask TheyDo as the coordinating layer that will help you coordinate multiple agents, set up tools, and do the work for you. And the analyst agent is the obvious one that you've all been asking for. But maybe if you will, since you have the slides, like let's talk about the problems that we're solving today and that we're going to talk about today. Because the first one is navigating complex experience data. I mean, a journey map won't cut it. To Memie's point, like some of our companies that we work with have hundreds of journeys in a single framework to understand maybe the KYC process if you're in a retail bank, or think about the end-to-end customer experience, which is broken down into all these products and services that you offer along the way. So navigating that for people is hard to do, but for AI it isn't. So that's one of the problem spaces that we're tackling. And with that, identifying the patterns across these hundreds of journeys now is possible. And it used to take a lot of work and a lot of time for people to get and make sense of that data, to make sense of the true line, how all this is connected. In 𝗴𝗏𝗽, it is connected, and now we're building the surface layer on top of that to solve for what are the patterns we're seeing. And the answers are near instant, which is fascinating. The bigger part, which we want to talk about today, is analyzing qualitative and quantitative data in the context of the journey. And this is what makes it so powerful, because before that, you had different tools to do it. And now we can bring it together to have identifying signals on top of that data, which is super powerful in the context of your customer experience. And the fourth problem we're trying to solve is that Memie said as well, is enabling your business to get decision support. This is not so much about customer experience and experience design teams who are already close to the customer, or business teams who are close to their business data, but making that translation and making the bridge possible on top of this complex data. Because let's face it, customer experience is really hard. It's not simple to understand how everything is related and what moves the needle. So these are the problem spaces that we're solving. But maybe I'll hand it back to you, Memie, so we can start showing what we've built and how you can start using it today.
Amazing. Thanks, Jochem. Okay, so let's move into 𝗴𝗍𝗷. There's going to be a number of different use cases that I'd love to cover. But to get started, I think one of the things that we are excited to see in our early private beta tester group is that people are using Ask TheyDo to really support them in their journey management journey. So what you're looking at here, if we're to dive in, I'm going to take you through a couple of different scenarios. All right, are you looking at 𝗴𝗍𝗷 now?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so like I said, we're going to walk through a number of scenarios. And for the first umbrella of use cases, we're going to look at how Ask TheyDo is supporting you all and your journey management practice. So looking at this journey here may be familiar, right? You have new users coming in, they have maybe a number of transcripts, and for their first journey, what they're really building is a way to map out all of their insights. So that's what you see here. We see a journey has a ton of insights across all of the phases and steps without much additional content below. And so as a journey owner, I really want to know, how do I improve this journey so that, I can make it richer? You'll see here, I opened Ask TheyDo, and we can ask directly questions like, given the mapped insights, evaluate how I can improve the insight lane and overall structure with journey management practices in mind. So let's send that into Ask TheyDo and see what happens. As part of Ask TheyDo, one of the things that we have built is for you to actually see what data it's evaluating. So I think, Samantha, you had a question earlier. Where is the data coming from? The data is all coming from what's happening within your journey frameworks and as well as your workspace, alongside the journey management practices that we've written as part of our help center and 𝗴𝗍𝗷.com. So right away, you'll already see that it's evaluated the journey and it's provided a number of recommendations on how you can improve the insight lane. So right here, we see there's one journey, your journey has one primary insights lane with 87 insights mapped. And so right away, it provides recommendations like separate insights by type, maybe rebalance insight distribution. So it really understands not only what data is there, where it's mapped, and provides recommendations to further improve it. And so, this is a quick look at, someone who is first coming into 𝗴𝗍𝗷 and bringing their insights. But many of you are also starting to build out much richer journey frameworks. So if we were to jump in to another example where we have a full life cycle framework. So you'll see this is what we typically call an L0 journey, where it really is a summarization of everything that's happening across a particular area of the business. So we have top level metrics, a lot of summarization of insights by type, and then a bunch of nested journeys. So for this type of richer journey, we can ask questions like, given all of the nested journeys, are the phases still the best representation of our customer experience? Let me add that in. Perfect. And for this type of journey that has a bunch of layers underneath it, it not only looks at the journey itself, but all of the 3 nested journeys that it's mapped out here. And so given what you're seeing within this lifecycle framework, it can quickly identify that the 3 nested journeys span across every single phase. And so it gives you prompts to consider, well, are there more granularity that you can introduce to your phases so that you can better break down this work? Is there a strategic or operational split that you should consider here? So it helps you to really reconsider at different moments of when you're building out your journeys to understand, is this really capturing the full breadth of our customers' experience? The more data that you introduce to 𝗴𝗏𝗽do, the more that gives you different moments in time to reflect on whether or not there's ways to break it down further so that you can further invest in the journey data models that we've talked about earlier. So both of these use cases, not only for new people who are joining into 𝗴𝗏𝗽do, but also people who have been with us or have really rich journey frameworks, really benefit from the knowledge base that we've accumulated over the past 5 years. So that's a look at Ask TheyDo as a journey management coach. There's also so much more that can happen with our Ask TheyDo analyst agent. So let's take a look at an L1 journey here. So go ahead and reset this context. Similarly to the last framework, this is a one step deeper into this life cycle that has a ton of nested journeys. And so the amount of information here for you to pull from can often have you and your team members find yourself landing on this page and say, okay, where do I even begin? How do I know what I should pay attention to? And Ask TheyDo allows you to quickly answer those questions. So let's consider maybe your leader within your organization lands on this journey and wants to know really what this is about. We might tell Ask TheyDo, summarize the journey and evaluate what I should pay attention to with evidence, provide reasoning, but be concise. And so we'll send that over, and Ask TheyDo begins to recognize what you're asking here. So summarizing the journey, and it can also show you kind of the different parts of the journey that it's evaluating. And gives you that rundown and starts with even the first section of sharing what you should be paying attention to with the critical pain points, with evidence. It even highlights that you have underperforming metrics and opportunity gaps that need attention. Straight from this Ask TheyDo chat, you can open up and dive deeper into see what is actually the issues with the things it's highlighting. So as I'm looking at this metric, I can open it up and look at all of the various data points. Same thing can be true with the insights here to say, okay, these are the latest insights that we're getting, and here's what we're learning about our customer base. So summarization is one of the areas where we've seen a lot of our customers use it to then copy this information and either share out in teams or in presentations to quickly allow people who aren't even within 𝗴𝗏𝗽do get the benefit of all the journey data that's being produced within 𝗴𝗏𝗽do. We can move on to another type of use case that I feel kind of really hits out what Jochem was saying earlier, where as we enter into experience intelligence, not only is journey management around understanding your customer's experience, but being able to make decisions on top of that. So the next thing that I want to show is what it looks like to actually ask questions that are analytical. How do we dive deeper, specifically on the 𝗔𝗽 issue as an example, to know what are we doing about these metrics and which opportunities should we be prioritizing? So let's dive into this 𝗔𝗽 use case. Maybe we can go ahead and open up the customer satisfaction journey level metric. Ask TheyDo right away can also see everything that you see here. So it knows that the metric panel is open for us to prompt. So let's dive in and ask, what are we doing about 𝗔𝗽 and what opportunities should I prioritize to focus on it? Evaluate all of the nested journeys. by giving it the prompt to specifically look at also nested journeys, it's really parsing through the entire hierarchy to be able to look at not only this L1, but all of the L2 research journeys to be able to identify what are all the things that link back up to the customer satisfaction. And to take a look at that, you'll see it's reviewed 2 additional journeys and are analyzing 4 additional building blocks. And so, yeah, it gives you a CSAT performance analysis here, as well as a hint at what you're already doing, the active solutions that your teams have are in progress on, and the nested journeys that are most critical to pay attention to. So already within these 2 to 3 prompts, you can see how Ask TheyDo really pulls out all of the different connections that you've built as part of your journey knowledge graph. With all the investments you've made to link the insights, to opportunities, to solutions together, this is really starting to see the power of building journey management with TheyDo. These easy questions can also help you have a place to start as you work on reporting and prioritization activities that you're doing alongside your team, all within the context of TheyDo. We've seen a lot around Ask TheyDo parsing through journeys. Now, I want to transition us to looking at what happens when you are thinking about a particular topic and you aren't quite sure which journey it belongs to. Not only does Ask TheyDo have access to all of your journey information, but it also can explore all of the insights, opportunities, solutions, metrics, and journeys within the workspace. So what you're looking at here is the Insight Workspace Library. Ask TheyDo can help you do a number of things. So you can select a bunch of insights to then summarize or compare or identify top pain points. But a really interesting use case is to actually have it search by a specific topic. So let's say for this next quarter, we're really interested at improving all of the payment and card issues. So we can ask TheyDo to find insights related to payment and card issues, provide a high-level summary, and rank them by how negatively they impact our retail banking customer experience. Cool. So it does this by looking at keywords to understand which insights are related to payment and card issues. And from that generates this high-level summary. So it's working faster than I can even voice over. So it identifies that there's 18 pain points related to this. And they even give you a quick summary of the high-level core problems. So what I'm seeing here is card transaction failures, payment processing reliability, and it even starts to rank them by the impact score. So here, card functionality issues, again, we can open up and take a deeper look. And it gives you this overview to, again, be able to share back to your team and can also access, for instance, any opportunities that might be active working on these problems as well. So searching by topic. I know for me, a lot of the times when, we're looking at improving a part of TheyDo, I often find myself thinking, hey, I know we've done research on this. I know we've gotten survey results about this, but I really have nowhere to quickly be able to search and look for the things that matter for this opportunity I'm working on. And Ask TheyDo can support with that now. The last thing I wanted to show before we kind of give you a peek of what's next is to also look at how we can do opportunity analysis. So yeah, we took a look at insights. If we move over to the opportunities library, what Ask TheyDo is also capable of is being able to send information or send context into the chat window to say, focus on these building blocks. So if you were to say, let's grab the top 4 opportunities here, and in the bulk action bar here, say, ask TheyDo, it immediately can recognize that these are the 4 opportunities that you want to ask about. And you can remind yourself which ones those are and deselect them. But from here, we can use some of the predefined prompts here to help you get started. So I didn't talk about this earlier, but you might have noticed that we have these prompts here, which is meant to help you have a really great first experience. So if you're trying to play around with Ask TheyDo or are curious in kind of what types of prompts and how to ask those questions, this is a really great resource for that. So let's go ahead and have it prioritize these 4 opportunities against each other and see what happens. So it can start to look at kind of the opportunity relationships. It analyzes them eventually. And what the prompt here has it do is have it review all of the linked insights, potential business impact, and the current status of how teams are actually working on these opportunities. And this is how it's prioritized. So again, gives a high-level prioritization of what they recommend, the reasoning behind it, and yeah, the second and third and fourth. So yeah, this is a very quick overview of kind of some of the new ways to engage with your journey data. Our teams have been really excited to release this and to learn all of the new ways that you can use your journey data differently. And to help with understanding how this all works, I'm going to hand it back over to Jochem to kind of deep dive into how we were able to kind of create these recommendations and summarizations.
The last part I really enjoyed because you showed it on like a list of opportunities. But if you think about it, you can just go through your journeys, your frameworks, your data, select the bits that you need analysis on, basically filling the shopping cart, as you will, and then basically run your analysis on top of that. There have been many questions in the meantime. I just let you go through because I thought you did a fantastic job. But let me set the stage for how this works, and then maybe it's a good time to tackle a few of the questions live before we go into the next bit, because this was not the only part that we've actually built out, because some of the questions go into like what is actually the layer. But let's get there. So on a technical side, and again, for those who missed the intro, Charles, our CTO, was about to join us, but he got by a stomach flu, so he's unfortunately not able to be here. So you have to do with us for the technical deep dive, but I want to keep it straightforward, because what you've actually seen is like we are thinking about this in almost like 4 different layers, right? As they do, that's where you saw Memie interact with the product today. That has the capabilities to break down any question, any prompt, any instruction into a plan. Following that, it will use tools like journey search, evidence lookup, insight analysis to then make that plan and then use agents to actually execute the tasks, right? They find the journey, find the insights, check the evidence, rank by impact, as you saw. But what is the critical change between, okay, you have a generic LLM that you can feed something and it will produce an answer, to TheyDo's AI having access to all the data in your workspace and specifically in the frameworks that you're working inside. That is the experience context. That is the journey graph with all its relations, with all its data that is actually instantly added to the agent, which makes it helpful in having answers that are specific to your organization, to your experience, and not giving you something generic, right? So it's basically like helping you on top of all of that complexity to reason over all of the data. I will get into some of the questions and also understanding like why it matters the way that we've built this. So and maybe I'll come to you for a couple of ones. So Daniela Pivarelli asked, like, does this AI understand, or is it language model which works on probability? So much like similar to any LLM like ChatGPT, but with direct access to your workspace data and trained on the journey management and the experience data principles, it will give you far more specific answers, right? And that's the the change in, of course, we are using a combination of off-the-shelf models. Our preference today is Anthropic. It just produces better results. And we fine-tuned it in the context of experience management, in the context of journey management, in the context of understanding this complexity, and train it on 5 years of 𝗴𝗏. Now, to answer another question, which was related to security, how about GDPR? Could be sensitive data involved. I also want to share that obviously we are GDPR compliant, and there is PII cleaning happening on when the journeys are being mined. But it is obviously reasoning over the data that is there, and that is the at the discretion of what you're putting into 𝗴𝗏. Greg Leclufi, any concerns around hallucinations? Can agents be trusted? I mean, in general, LLMs are non-deterministic systems, but in our tests from all the people that have been in the beta program and all the companies that are using it, 95% positive feedback rate on the answers from Ask TheyDo at this point. So this is also like, if you see something that is not correct, like you can please like let us know, and then it will learn from that.
Yeah, maybe can I add a little bit to that as well?
Sure.
Yeah, so as part of this launch, we actually have had Ask TheyDo in a private beta for 3 months. And as part of the private beta, we did a lot of analysis over what types of questions people were asking, what did the responses look like? And through a lot of the internal analysis through, again, LLMs, we were able to capture and measure like a percentage of how accurate responses are. So just to give an example and a look into the black box, when we were doing conversational analysis, we looked at, okay, what was the subsequent answer after someone sent their first message and Ask TheyDo responded. If the message looked like, for instance, hey, do the same thing with this insight, or do the same thing with this opportunity, we're able to kind of analyze that as a positive response. Or if the user were to provide that direct feedback of thumbs up and thumbs down. And so through the hundreds of prompts and responses that we were able to look at, we saw on average an 85 to 95% success rate. This is, of course, also very influenced by the journey itself. How well are things linked, and how connected are those relationships? So the more that there are linked relationships, the more valuable the answer. But again, it is able to reference no matter how built out the journey is to provide the best response.
Thanks for sharing, Memie. And adding to that, the customers that are enabling 𝗴𝗏 to train on their data obviously have that confirmed in their contracts. And if we train on the data, we do not share the data with the LLM providers, for instance. Like, it happens within the boundaries of 𝗴𝗏. So if we are fine-tuning and training on data, that is always with the consent of our customers. A couple of other questions to tackle. Does it work in any other language than English? The simple answer is yes, as 𝗴𝗏 typically answers in English, but it can understand many different languages and then also adjust. Most early access users actually use their native language, so that helps. And the other question that you asked, are the AI models ring-fenced to our company? And the data is available to your own company, right? It's not like specifically we're fine-tuning a model for your use case specifically. So the data and the analysis is done confined to the data that's available in the workspaces that you inside your company accounts are managing. A lot of data compliance questions today. Peter Boersma, similar. How much knowledge does the agent have out of the box versus how much does it need to be trained on our own data? So it's trained to be an analyst agent for a journey manager, but it doesn't need to be trained on your data. as it's fast in retrieving the relevant data from your workspace, for instance. And in the future, we expect to have more customizations that will be enabled for specific workspaces, specific instructions, which leads us to maybe like something that we'll share a little bit of a peek into the future, because ultimately we believe you should be able to build and deploy agents yourself on top of your journey data model, your journey frameworks. And Katja, and maybe this is the last question that I'll tackle now, and maybe we can take a few later. Can it read the whole 3,000? I don't know what 3,000 was referring to, but probably like a lot of insights in that workspace. Say if someone needs to be the same problem and seem to have the same problem and it can be merged. So merging insights, that's a capability that's already there. But I think what you're asking about is like, does it help with data governance? Does it help with like understanding the whole? And I'll say two things. One, as complexity is rising, the magnitude of the data needed is rising. So we keep on improving like how much the agents can reason over. 3,000, yes. 30,000, yes. But 3 million, that's a question mark. So as we scale, that is a big topic. But the other thing that's interesting is that because it can reason over so many different parts, it will surface things that in different parts of the experience work that is happening maybe way outside of your teams can be surfaced if that all happens in the same workspace. So a lot of organizations are spending millions a year on wasted resources because they're solving a problem another team has already solved or is trying to solve or is addressing at the moment. So that's a big benefit that, I don't know if you saw the webinar from łufthansa a couple of weeks back, where they actually specifically identified that problem was there and that they didn't have a problem because another team was solving a problem that was emerged in another place of the organization. So reasoning over all this complexity, AI and agents can do a fantastic job. I wanted to caveat one thing. We didn't cover like how the journey data got there in the first place, which is like what we've built on the data hub and the mining capabilities to bring that in. But I'll speak to where that's going in a second. But for today, we focused on net new, Ask TheyDo, and the analyst. So maybe what we can do is start talking about what is next for today. And before I go into like showing you more slides, maybe like Memie, why don't you give a sneak peek on what is actually going to be available in the beta program? Because Ask TheyDo, as you saw it, the analyst agents are now available to everyone with AI enabled in the organization. There's a setting in admin panel. You can toggle on to get access to it. Your admins need to do it. But there's also obviously the beta program that's continuing. So maybe, do you want to share a few things that we are working on that are available in the beta program already?
Amazing. Yes. So like I mentioned earlier, we had been testing this with a core group of private beta users to really understand how well Ask TheyDo responses were working and to kind of identify a number of use cases. Part of this conversation analysis was that we saw time and time again that not only do people want Ask TheyDo to summarize, to retrieve, to analyze, they want a partner to actually be able to edit, create alongside you on the journeys that you're working on. So I'll first start off with the new capability that we are kicking off private beta this week. So please share your interest in joining if this is your interest. We are introducing documents. So a lot of what we heard from our customers is, hey, we have spent so much time building out these journey frameworks. The source of truth is in TheyDo. But the thing that we struggle with is being able to share outwardly on the journey data that's being created. What is happening within this journey? How are we working on it? How are these metrics being impacted? What we saw was a lot of time spent on producing different docs to then share out to other team members, maybe to product and service teams or to stakeholders. And so we saw this as an opportunity to say, okay, how can Ask TheyDo use its summarization capabilities to then create documents for you to share? So we have this new document section, and where I will start is to actually show you the document experience. So there's a couple of ways that you can create a document. You can do it straight away, create a document, create it from scratch. A second way is to create a document alongside a journey while using, let's say, a template. So what you're seeing right now is a template that I actually created within our documents library. And in here, I give it an overview of kind of how I want it to organize the doc. So a title, a summary, key insights, and just a bunch of instructions. Now, what I can do at this point is go back to our journey that we saw here. And earlier, we had asked it to summarize this journey. So let's go ahead and do it again. Sorry, I need to turn something on. So we'll tell it to summarize the journey like we did before. So maybe you're kind of landing here and you want it to see what are the latest key insights and all of that. So it can go ahead and summarize the content directly. And as it finishes, maybe this is at a point where you're like, okay, this is a really great summary. It captures the right information. And so we can ask it straight away after it finishes responding to create a document from this. Let's let it go for a little bit longer. So yeah, you read through the summary. It's in a good state. Let's go ahead and create a document with this summary. And it can, right away recognize that it should create a document, and it asks some follow-up questions to make sure that it knows what type of document to create. So with the summary, what will this document be for? Is it an executive briefing? Is it for a team workshop? Maybe it's for planning and prioritization. Let's say it's for a stakeholder update, and the primary audience is a bunch of cross-functional stakeholders. It uses this to be able to then understand how it should, what language it should use, the level of depth that it should go into in order to create a first version of this document that you can review. So it's starting to edit and create the document, and we'll be able to open it up in just a second. Yeah, let me give you even a sneak peek on what is happening here. So it's even going through a little bit of its own kind of draft and analysis and review of the first draft before it shows you. So I'm gonna let it go. Perfect. So all of that analysis, it created this document, which we'll open up right now. And everything that you're seeing here is created from the journey data that you were just looking at and the summary that we had it create. So it already gives an executive summary. It gives you the critical areas to pay attention to, and allows you to even open up insights directly in context with the ability to kind of share this to people on your team. But not only that, right? Ask TheyDo can create the first drafts, but we know that when you're creating a story, the first draft is never the final draft. And so what TheyDo can also do is recognize kind of the context that you have added. So here I highlighted the executive summary section. So I'm going to have it continue to edit for us and maybe say, make this summary a bit longer and use more evidence. So it's able to
make
look
the
at
summary
that.
longer. Nice.
Yeah, maybe shorter.
I wanted to write you a short letter, so I wrote you a long one.
Yeah, maybe not the most realistic follow-up, but maybe, yeah, we are working with someone that really loves in-depth summary. So, okay, we made it longer. It did what I asked. And so you'll see directly in line kind of the changes it made. It made the document longer. It included more evidence. So in this previous version, it kind of listed out the key findings. Here, it lists out key findings while also connecting the quantitative to the qualitative. So it gives you that perfect mixture to be able to know what exactly is happening. And on top of that, it has you review changes before you go in and approve it. So this is one use case of how Ask TheyDo is going beyond kind of only analyzing the data, but eventually starting to become a tool and companion for storytelling, for journey managing, and so on and so forth. So this is a first version, a very early version of our documents experience, which we have opened up for private beta. So please reach out if there's something you'd love to get your hands on and help us learn to continue improving.
One question maybe from the audience. I couldn't find it that far scrolling through, but I think it's related to this. So there were some questions on consistency. You did it pretty quickly, but the consistency is important here because you might want to run this on a weekly basis, right? It's like high-level analysis of what has changed, what is new, what have we learned, what are we doing about this? So structuring it using templates and then letting agent run it consistently every week. Today, obviously, this is the reporting agent and it will run for you. Now you have to still poke it, prompt it to initiate it. But over time, this can be like your consistent weekly digest that you're building this out. So templating plus like clear instructions will produce that consistency because it's reasoning over the data. It's not making new assumptions on top of it. It just brings it together. And then obviously the executive summary is non-deterministic, but helping that will help you with a lot of this consistency, stakeholder communication. But most importantly, it will also give your business users a layer on top of the journeys that they can actually instantly use and don't have to like traverse all this complexity. I have to call it up. Sorry, Memie, go ahead for the next one.
Thank you. I kind of jumped out of order and didn't actually get back to that template one. So thanks for bringing it up. So really good point. Now that you have this document available or created within TheyDo, and we spent time updating it. Yes, the summary is a little bit long, but let's imagine that this is the right structure. So the next time you go back into, I'll go ahead and copy this just to have a reference, but let's say you want to do the same report, let's say a month later, because we know that reporting happens on a consistent basis. For the next time, you can say things like, create a document to summarize this journey using the document as a template. So it will be able to, at this point, recognize the name of that document, be able to reference that as it does the summarization again, and it will follow the exact same format. So that is one version of the consistency question. I saw earlier that the consistency question also came up when we were doing the previous use cases of summarization and analysis. Because Ask TheyDo is also an LLM, like you might see in ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, it doesn't give you the exact same wording. But if you were to, let's say, search things by certain topic or use a similar types of questions, most of the time from our testing, it does bring up the same building blocks and there is consistency there. So it's not going to give you a word by word the exact same response, but the overall essence, the building blocks it's referencing, doesn't typically change. So as far as that goes, that's another answer to the question. We've also considered in the future to do more structured, reusable prompts so that this gets easier and easier. But this is kind of looking ahead at the future of what Ask TheyDo will evolve into.
Unless I have maybe like another question that will segue into another capability, another agent that we're putting in the beta program soon. But before we do that, like I think one comment is exemplifying, like 𝗏𝗀 is saying like, oh my God, OMG, I think it's oh my God. I've been painfully creating those docs manually so far, inside opportunities with this exact approach. Really happy that's now automated. Thank you guys. Really, really happy with the direction. Storytelling is super important. And I think that's exactly this, right? It's not about the document itself. It's about what is the data story that you're telling? What do people need to hear? Let's walk in their shoes. Her question, can we add media, images, ideally videos? Yes, this is rich text. So rich media can be added. We're pulling in from the data, but you can also add your own and embed videos. For instance, uploading video is a separate topic, not for today. Let's talk about it in the next time. There we might have something coming. But there was another question on, does AI actually do what it suggests immediately in the journeys, Amanda. And maybe that's a nice way to end our last bit for today. Maybe can I hand it back to one more demo?
Yeah, of course. Yes, that's exactly it. You're asking it, hey, how do I improve this journey? How do I improve this insight? Or can you summarize everything that all the quotes we've captured about these insights? But all of that information still lives in Ask TheyDo. And so the gradual next step is to directly edit inline. So let's give an example of something that we actually saw a ton in our private beta testing, which is this comes back to this concept of consistency, right? It's consistent storytelling. It's consistent templating of how insights are written, opportunities, so on and so forth. How can we do that easily alongside Ask TheyDo? So I'm going to open up this insight right here with 10 quotes. And what I'm going to ask it is, hey, can you summarize the quotes and pull out the top quote, then update the description to reflect that? So this is kind of doing two things at once. It's having it analyze the quotes that are linked to this insight and to pull out the most important quote and have it actually directly edit the description. So apologies for this. Yes. Okay. Let's see this happen live. So I'll help you summarize the quote and update the insight description. So it's doing, it's pulling on the quotes and it's summarizing directly in line for you to see. And before it updates it, what we've also trained Ask TheyDo to do is to give you a preview and have you have the ability to maybe accept, reject, or kind of further make changes. So let's say, yes, looks great. Let's update. And so, yeah, in a moment's time, it should update the insight directly. Cool.
Nice. Well, while you do this, maybe I'll tackle a couple of questions that are related because one from Greg, one of the key journey management platform is co-authoring and socialization. So are we concerned that non-designers or non-experts can actually do this properly? And I think the simple answer is the analyst agent is available for everyone in the workspace, right? They're analyzing. So it's basically like self-serve, which should be possible for everyone to use, but for the journey management capabilities that Memie is now demonstrating, editing, updating, creating, removing, summarizing, cleaning, but also making sure that the data is accurate, those are scoped to the actual roles, and that's likely with the direction that we go into. So it should not be that people you don't want those capabilities to use cannot use it directly using Ask TheyDo. So it will use the roles that you've assigned, and it will also help those people to execute what they can and cannot, or see what they can and cannot. All right, Memie, back to you.
Yeah, so it happened fairly quickly. It directly updated the insight description here, and it can do this not only for one, but across all insights. So let's say, for instance, we want to select all the cards in this lane and say, okay, I've found a template that I really like. You can add these to Ask TheyDo across all 31 insights and say, now update all of these insights using this template to create consistency within this journey. So yeah, these are some of the things we're starting to test. This edit mode of being able to edit content directly is still internally being tested. We are planning to do a beta for this later in this quarter, so be on the lookout for that. But again, we are now opening up our private beta for documents, so please let us know if you're interested to try it out. The last thing I'll talk quickly over, I don't think we have enough time to show the full demo, but I saw a question earlier around, okay, is this only useful for the workspaces that have a lot of content? What about really building out the content for the first time? We have had one person outside of TheyDo who have helped us actually test out editing capabilities. And the thing that they had used it on was actually journey creation. So from transcript, they were able to not only build out the structure of the journey alongside Ask TheyDo, it actually mapped all of the content and even started to generate some opportunities given the insights that it processed. So yeah, what we're most excited about is how this not only helps you get started faster, but it helps you to spend your time more effectively and allows you to quickly go from research to a shareable artifact and to ask questions on top of that in a very short period of time. So be on the lookout. There's a lot coming with Ask TheyDo, with agents with TheyDo this year, and we're excited to keep talking about it.
Very nice. Thank you, Memie. Maybe a nice wrap-up question that we're seeing from Christy. Can you use it for housekeeping tasks like organizing taxonomy, cleaning up tags? And the reason why I wanted to end here with that question is actually what is going to happen next. So clarifying, everyone with AI in their workspace enabled, admins can go and enable Ask TheyDo and the analyst agent for everyone in that workspace. So that's live, generally available today. The doc experience, storytelling, and the reporting agent that we saw is going to be in private beta for those who are joining. And then soon after, these added capabilities for all the housekeeping, but also serious journey management tasks is going to be added to the private beta program as soon as we are confident it will produce good enough results for everyone to be starting to test this out. So that is what is going to happen next. But what is happening behind the scenes is that this layer of the agentic experience of taking our experience data and bringing that to life is starting to bring these different agents together. And what we are building towards is an interface where you can build them, deploy them, and have the views, the outputs, exactly the way you want them to be. What are you telling the story about? Do you start with the data? Do you start with actually like the customer quotes, the references, what your customers are experiencing? How do you think about bringing that, automating it, and making sure that your business stakeholders can do this? So over the next few months, we are building out these capabilities, and we should be back. And for those who are listening, in May, with a bigger launch of our agentic platform on top of all of this. So please stay tuned. Please start using it. Give us feedback. We would love to hear from you. And also see you in the beta program for those who want to test the latest and the greatest. There's a poll now hearing about your experience from this webinar, which is also helping us to learn if you found this useful and informative. Please fill it in before you go. And thank you, Memie, for vouching both for you and for Charles in this meeting. It was a pleasure to really like see you take the time to take everyone through what we've been building, what is live now, and what is coming ahead. And for everyone else, see you soon in Journeyland.
Thank you. Talk soon.
Talk soon. Bye, everyone. And for those whose questions weren't answered, we'll see if we can follow up in the show notes with a couple of more clarifying ones. But thank you all for the high engagement. Much appreciated. This was awesome.